So, welcome to this. I guess you can consider this kind of a test pilot for potentially a podcast that I'm going to be doing when we get to the fall. Because I said last year that I was thinking about doing a Reviewing Network podcast for wrapping up most of the week, the big stories of the past week, and this is kind of a test to see if this could actually work out. I'm going to do a couple of these tests over the next couple of weeks and months, and hopefully by September, this will actually be something that I want to do going forward. And I figure, why not? What better way to start this off than to talk about what we just saw? The 95th Annual Academy Awards has come and gone, and before I talk about this year's Academy Awards, I might as well talk about the past Academy Awards, the ones from the last couple of years, because honestly, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. The Academy Awards is usually something for entertainment people and people that work around the entertainment industry or talk about the entertainment industry, like myself. This is something that we usually have to look forward to. Like, this is supposed to be the big prestige movie event that everybody looks forward to. Like, this is like the Oscars used to mean something back in the day. Nowadays, however, it's not so much. I mean, it's not like it's one of those things where it's getting to the point where it's almost becoming irrelevant, but certainly after what happened last year, it's definitely looking like it was getting that close. I'm honestly, the last couple of years of the Academy Awards have not been exciting whatsoever. There have been some exciting wins here and there, like when Parasite won for Best Picture a couple of years ago. That was great to see. There, when Judas and the Black Messiah got an Oscar for Daniel Kaluuya for Best Supporting Actor, even though technically he was the leading actor in that. That was great to see. Will Smith, say what you will about what he did last year to Chris Rock, but he deserved to win an Academy Award, and I thought he deserved it for King Richard. But other than that, though, most of these are just kind of like, most of the last couple of years have been very mixed bags. Like, there's been some wins that have been cool, but most of the time it's been stuff that's been kind of like, yeah, it's cool to see these people winning, but really, so much better movies could have been put into those specific categories or specific awards that they should have won. I said it best earlier today. The Oscars have become more of an obligation to watch for my profession than it is the joy to watch. Like, the days of watching the Academy Awards to see great performances, great movies being honored, it seemed like they were going away for the longest time. And I was very skeptical and very scared going into this, because I thought, most of my thinking was that I thought this was going to be a make or break year for me. I just feel like that there was going to be an underwhelming ceremony where movies and performances that shouldn't win do win, and I honestly thought that might do it for me. I'd still watch the Academy Awards going forward and talk about them, but again, like I said before, it'd be more because I'd have to do it because this is what this channel is about, talking about movies, talking about actors and actresses and people involved in filmmaking, and I was ready for the worst, but I'm happy to say that not only did this Academy Awards really impress me with the movies that won and the performances that won, but the show overall was just pretty damn good. Like, this is probably the best Oscars presentation that I've seen from them in a long, long time. I think, honestly, the last time I think I remember seeing an Oscars show like this and being really excited about it maybe was when Neil Patrick Harris hosted it back in 2015, I believe. I think Jimmy Kimmel does a very good job as the host here. Some people don't like him because of some of the things that he says, but you know what? Sometimes the things that he says are things that need to be said about the things that are going on in the world right now. And, Jimmy Kimmel put a lot of effort into this, and he has proven to be a pretty damn good Oscars host. And I mean, his monologue was pretty damn good, too. Like, he found a way to make the people laugh. He had some good jokes here and there. A couple of misfires here and there that weren't really all that great, but they were not anything too ridiculously stupid or just dumb jokes. Like, there were a couple jokes that didn't hit most of the time, but at the same time, most of the stuff he had worked. I liked the way that he took the moment from last year, the slap incident, and actually made some pretty good jokes about it. I know some people didn't like that, but you know what? I mean, the fact that he was able to make something funny out of that, I mean, that's what the guy does best. I mean, this is the guy that hosted the Oscars after the La La Land Best Picture incident. The Oscars that he hosted that one as well. But he was able to find enough material there to make for a mostly funny show. Times throughout the show, he wasn't really as funny as he could have been, but at the same time, though, it's still very funny stuff for most of what I saw. Like, I think he did a very good job of being a presenter of the show. I thought the jokes overall were very good. He had good timing for the most part. He knew how to get the crowd going, and I think it did everything that they should have done in terms of what they wanted to do. They wanted to get a guy who can be very funny, but also be kind of safe and a little bit is maybe a little bit conservative in terms of his comedy, and he definitely does that. There were times when he got a little bit political, but at the same time, they were funny political jokes. Like I thought, the thing about calling Steven Spielberg and Seth Rogen the Joe Biden and Hunter Biden of the Joe Biden and Hunter Biden was actually kind of funny. Like I thought that was pretty amusing. There was a part where he talked about how the editor's job is so great they have to take $4,400 of capital coup footage and shrink it down into. I'm going to butcher this joke, but it was a funny joke about the Capitol and how kind of a jab at Tucker Carlson for what he did a couple days ago on his show on Fox News, but that was pretty funny stuff. Like I think he did a very good job selling the show for most of the night. He did a great job with the show overall. I thought he did a very good job overall. Some people may disagree, but I think he did just enough of a good job to make the show warrant for the long time that it was on. It was actually a longer show than I think a lot of people were expecting. It went over 3 hours and 40 minutes, and that's probably one of the longest Oscar shows that I've ever seen. I think the longest one was like 4 hours long. Let me see here. I'm actually going to check right now just to make sure, because I could have sworn that the longest one was when Titanic won, and I think that was like over 4 hours and 2 minutes. Okay, they got rid of him. I'm looking on the Wikipedia page, and I thought maybe it would be there, but no, it wasn't on there. But I know that the '98 show was when Titanic won Best Picture. I think was the longest one at 4 hours and 2 minutes, which I guess was coincidentally almost the same amount of running time as Titanic was. But yeah, like for them to go on as long as they did a very good job of creating a very entertaining show. And like I said, I think it's one of the best Oscars they've done in a long, long time. I mean, it's something that I really thought was enjoyable all the way through. So, okay, so I have a list here of stuff that I wanted to talk about. Some of the big awards that were presented tonight, some of the other things that happened throughout the course of the evening, and I'm just going to run through them real quick because I've pretty much discussed most of the stuff that we're going to talk about here, but I'll talk about some of the stuff that we haven't talked about that did happen tonight. But the first award that went to Best Animated Feature Film, and honestly, either one of those films that could have been in there, the CB's Turning Red, Puss in Boots. Why can't I remember the last one? Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Any one of those ones I think could have won Best Animated Feature, and I would have been happy about it, but Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio won, and it really was the best animated feature out of all those films. As much as I love Turning Red, I really wish I wanted it to win, kind of, but at the same time, I knew that Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio was easily the better film. It told the better Pinocchio story than any of the other films that we got this year, but then again, it's not really saying that much because the other Pinocchio films were not that great, but they did a very good job of telling close to the original story as they could with this great animation. And Guillermo del Toro, what he said, I'm glad that he used that platform out there to say that, hey, animation is cinema. Animation is for everyone, because it's so true. And the fact that everybody keeps trying to pretend that that's not the case, it's just like, you are so wrong on that front. Because animation, with these films in particular too, that these films did a very good job of showing that, hey, animation isn't just for kid stuff. We are able to do more with animation than you could possibly imagine. And I'm glad he used that platform to say that out loud, because, man, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio was a great film that definitely showed why animation is so good. And the animation in that movie is so good, and the way they tell that story, it's well done. Like I said, I don't have to say too much more about that one because it is just such a great film. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, check it out on Netflix if you haven't seen it already. So, Best Supporting Actor, not a real surprise. Ke Huy Quan won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which had a big night tonight. We're going to get into that as we go along. And it was really no surprise that he was going to win that one, because really his performance in that movie as Wayman Wang was just so well done. And congratulations, man! You went from being short round and Data in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and the Goonies, and now you're an Oscar winner, and you rightfully deserved it because you gave such a great performance and you came back with a bang. I mean, this is such a great film that works with his performance in this. The other performances in this category were mostly pretty good. Brendan Gleeson I liked in Banshees of Inisherin, and Judd Hirsch I liked in The Fabelmans, but really, Ke Huy Quan was the real winner of this one. He definitely deserved to win, and I'm glad he got that award. So, at this point, I was doing pretty good. I was 2-0, which looked like it was going to be pretty good, and then Best Supporting Actors came along, and maybe that's probably The one thing I would say that I was a little disappointed in, that Angela Bassett didn't win for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I thought she was going to get it, but you know what? Jamie Lee Curtis won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I'll give it to her for that, because she had a lot of fun in that performance. She was giving it her all. She definitely deserved it. I mean, I'm glad she won the award. Would have been nice if Angela Bassett had won, but you know what? Like I said, Jamie Lee Curtis has been in so many good movies. She's proven to be a great actress over the years. Rightfully deserved to win this award. I'm glad she won it. Even though I am disappointed that Angela Bassett didn't win, but like I said, I thought her performance overall was a ton of fun. It was a two choice pick for me. Like, it was either going to be her or Angela Bassett. If it was one of those two, I was going to be very happy with one or the other. Like I said, wanted Bassett, but Jamie Lee Curtis definitely deserved to win it, and I'm glad she did. So, and Laurie Strode has an Academy Award. So, how about that? This has been such a good year, because well-earned performances are getting represented in these particular categories this year. And Short Round and Laurie Strode now have Academy Awards, so congratulations to them. Moving away from the awards for a little bit, there was a couple of points in the show where they had like special presentations. One of the big ones was, of course, the trailer launch for the new Little Mermaid movie. They had Halle Bailey and Melissa McCarthy come out on stage, which I found that kind of funny, because I think they really do believe that this movie is going to be an Academy Award nominee next year, which, who knows, it might be, but I sincerely doubt it. But so they showed off the new trailer, and I will say this, though. I still think the best thing about this new Little Mermaid movie coming up is going to be Halle Bailey as Ariel, because I think she's not only playing that role very well from the trailer that I've seen, but she's nailing the singing in this trailer. Like, she is doing a very good job with singing these songs. As far as the trailer itself goes, I said this before and I'll say it again. Disney usually does a very good job of marketing these movies, even if they turn out to be really bad in the end. But they did a very good job marketing this movie, because this movie, the editing in this looks pretty good, and they do a very good job of capturing like some of the sequences from the original movie. I will say, though, the CG is looking very muddled. The CG is not looking all that exciting to me. Like, Sebastian in this movie, I don't know what they were thinking with that. They just basically took what Mr. Krabs looks like in live action form when he goes up on the shore in SpongeBob SquarePants and made him Sebastian. But hey, it's Daveed Diggs playing him. If he sings Under the Sea pretty good, then I might be okay with that. But I'll say this, though. Melissa McCarthy, they show a little bit more of her as Ursula. They had a little commercial that came on a couple of weeks ago. I did not think that looked any good, but watching her in this, I will say it looks a little bit better. It does look a little bit better. Javier Bardem, we get to see him for the first time as King Triton, and he looks okay, but the CG really looks like a huge mixed bag. I'm going into it with the benefit of the doubt, because it is Rob Marshall directing it. He did Chicago. He did Mary Poppins Returns. So they have a good director here. And Alan Menken's doing the music once again. So my fingers are crossed that this will actually turn out a whole lot better than it has any right to be. But I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence of these live-action remakes that Disney has been doing. I've been mostly positive on them, but the last couple of films they've done, specifically Pinocchio and Mulan, have really turned me to the dark side, I guess. But I'm still hoping for the best, though. I like I said, I think Halle Bailey will be the best thing about this movie, even if the movie itself turns out to be not that great. So they had that, and probably the weirdest segment they had in the entire show was the fact that they had a segment dedicated to the Warner Brothers 100th anniversary, which is not really all that shocking, because this year is, of course, the 100th anniversary of Warner Brothers, but they basically just showed the same montage clips, the clip montage that they had posted online last month. Like, it was literally the same thing. Like, they brought Morgan Freeman and Margot Robbie out there to just introduce the same clip package we've already seen. And would have been nice if they took a little bit some of the jabs at Warner Brothers business strategies right now, of course, with David Zaslav completely trying to destroy that company. But hey, man, what do I know? But that was a weird segment that they had there. There were some little fun segments here and there throughout the show. Jenny the donkey from the Banshees of Inisherin, which we later found out was actually not the donkey. But you know what? That was still one of the funner segments in there. And I kind of want that to be my emotional support animal. I have emotional support animals, but an emotional support donkey like that, I will gladly take that. I mean, that was one of the fun moments of the night. And, of course, you had Elizabeth Bear with the cocaine bear. That was hilarious. Like, I thought that was very well done. And You got a little bit those little segments there that worked pretty well. They did a very good job of not doing like scripted sketches, but like they did in past years. Like they just went straight to like these on the cuff moments, and I thought that worked very well for the most part. There was a point early on when I thought that All Quiet on the Western Front was going to be one of those little surprise sneakers because it won a ton of awards. Like I think it won I think it won 4 Oscars for, including Best International Feature Film. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 Academy Awards. It becomes the third most awarded foreign language film to achieve this feat since Fanny and Alexander and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And I haven't actually seen this movie yet, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be pretty good. But I think you can easily tell what the international feature film winners are usually going to be because they're usually the ones that are the most hyped, the most talked about, and sometimes they'll get nominated also for Best Picture. I guess trying to follow the Parasite format or the Roma format, 2 very good films that follow that same track. But those 2, Parasite won Best Picture, of course. Roma did not, but it won International Feature Film. I assume this one's All Quiet on the Western Front's pretty good. I actually have never seen the original film that they made by Universal in the 30s, and I hear that one's pretty good too. That's one I want to try to get to see at some point. One of the other things that took my interest was that they actually showed a preview for the George Foreman biopic, Big George Foreman, which I didn't even see a trailer for, but I guess it came out a month ago. And I can't even remember if we got that trailer in front of Creed 3 a couple weeks ago, but it's definitely got some promise to it. It is released by Affirm Films, which I think is their faith-based studio at Sony. And so I don't know if it's going to be something like American Underdog, where it's very much a faith-based film, but a really good, solidly made film. Or is it going to be one of those biopics like I Want to Dance with Somebody, where it's going to be just like the most safe and contained version of a story that we could possibly tell about George Foreman's life. But I mean, it definitely can go either way, but it looks pretty good. Chris Davis from Space Jam: A New Legacy is playing George Foreman. Looks pretty good as George Foreman. Kind of looks like him for the most part. And you have Forrest Whitaker in here in a role that was supposed to be played by Michael Kenneth Williams before he passed away. It definitely looks like it could be a very interesting film. It might be one I might check out in theaters, or I might just wait for it to come out on Blu-ray. But it has my interest, though. It looks like it could be a pretty decent film. It could go either way. I can say that for certain. The In Memoriam segment, I thought they actually did a pretty good job of kind of taking the criticisms from the past couple of years where the In Memoriam segment didn't include actors or specific people that died, and then they say at the end, go to this website to see the rest of them here, because you got a show that's already going close to over 3 hours, and you got to figure out how to condense it down as much as you can. So they took the most notable names on there. Anne Heche wasn't on there, surprisingly, and neither was Robert Blake, even though they did make a joke about Robert Blake early on, which was kind of amusing. I like they went that dark turn kind of a little bit there. But overall, I thought Lenny Kravitz did a very good job with the performances. The performances of all the songs in here were so good. The best original song winners. Even though I'm a little upset that something like Hold My Hand and Lift Me Up didn't win from Top Gun and Black Panther, that song from RRR is pretty damn good. It's reminded me so much of Jai Ho from Slumdog Millionaire. And I am glad that did win, because that was a pretty good performance. Really damn catchy song, too. So that's another one where I was hoping for something else, but I wasn't too sad with the winner that actually won. So when we finally got to around the Best Director and the final 5 awards of the evening, I was about at 9 of 10 because 8 of 10 because I had 8 predictions that I got right, 10 I did not get. It started to turn around after the Best Film Editing and Everything Everywhere All at Once won that. I was at 9 and 10. And then after that, I kind of felt good for the most part if I could get these 3 of the next 4 correct, because there was Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Picture. Best Director I thought I got easily because Daniels won it, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert won. They rightfully deserved that, and they were the first directing duo to win that Oscar for Best Director since Joel and Ethan Coen did, even though Jimmy Kimmel makes the George Santos joke on there too. But so that was that, and then Best Actor was the one I was scared about the most because, not because I would have thought Colin Farrell would have won, because I think everybody wanted Colin Farrell to win an Oscar finally. It was the fact that that people were suggesting Austin Butler win for Elvis, and Elvis. I am so happy that that movie did not win a single Oscar, because that movie did not deserve the love it got at the Academy Awards. That's been one of my biggest gripes of the Academy Awards for so many years, was the fact that they gave Rami Malek the Oscar for playing Freddie Mercury so easily, and yet when Taron Egerton played Elton John in Rocket Man, they didn't even bother to acknowledge his existence. It didn't even get it got one Best Original Song Oscar for Elton John, but Taron Egerton was not nominated. It was part of that year where great performances from him, Eddie Murphy, Jennifer Lopez did not get nominations at all. They were completely snubbed, and I was so scared that that was going to happen again. And when Brendan Fraser's name was called, I was so happy, because that just calmed me down so quickly, because I really wanted him to win, and I thought that he gave the best performance of the nominees. The movie itself is not that great, but what makes it strong and memorable is the performance that Brendan Fraser gives, and the makeup too. They won the best makeup as well, rightfully so. But Brendan Fraser's performance in that movie is so good, and his story and his comeback as an actor was such a reward to see. And you felt that emotion when he won that Oscar. And I was so happy that he did that. I was so happy that he won that Oscar, and I was so happy that that happened. I'm so happy that Austin Butler didn't win. I'm not saying that the guy was a bad actor. He was just in a movie that was not as great as everybody made it out to be. I mean, Tom Hanks was not that great in that movie too. But that's just my feeling on Elvis. There's a lot of movies on this list that I don't agree with, but yeah. So I was at 11 and 10 on that one, and then Best Actress I thought was I think at that point I knew that. I think I had a pretty good chance of being ahead this time around. So when Michelle Yeoh won Best Actress, no real surprise there. I was so happy that she did, because she's been in a lot of great movies as of recently, including Crazy Rich Asians. She was one of the best things about Last Christmas. She's one of the best things about Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that's why she deserved to win that Oscar for that performance. I mean, she was so good in that movie, and that speech she gave. The speeches overall for the main actors were so refreshing and so good. Like you really felt like they never thought this would happen. This was a genuine shock to them, and they were just so good. Most of them were actually got me close to crying. Honestly, like not cry, but like it's really some of those speeches that they had really got to me. And Best Picture, Everything Everywhere All at Once won, and that really kind of cemented this being the best Academy Awards that have been done in years, because, of course, Everything Everywhere All at Once was in my top 5. It was one of my favorite movies of the year, and I was so happy that it won Best Picture. I was so happy that a really good film won Best Picture. Not to say that films like Nomad and Coda were bad movies. They were good films, not great films, though. I'm glad that Everything Everywhere All at Once won, because it's a great film that deserves to win, and it also shows that the Academy Awards is finally waking up and acknowledging these really crazy, cool-looking films like Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I was so happy that that won Best Picture, and like I said, it just cemented this being the best Academy Awards in years. Like, it finally makes me realize that I'm hoping that this is the realization that the Academy Awards is finally waking up. They're not just giving the Oscars to these generic performances that are not really all that great or not that strong, but the actor and actress deserves to win it at some point, so we got to give it to them now. Like, for example, the last couple of years we had people like Jessica Chastain winning for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which Jessica Chastain deserves to win the Academy Award, but she's been in much better movies that deserve to win an Oscar than that movie. It just feels like they're giving Oscars away because of the legacy of these actors that are nominated. Most notably, Anthony Hopkins winning Best Actor for The Father, which Chadwick Boseman should have won that year. They set it up, making it seem like that they were going to do that, save that for the big moment at the end, and then the biggest fail ending of the Academy Awards ever, when Anthony Hopkins wins and he doesn't even come on to accept his award. Stuff like that. Renee Zellweger winning another Academy Award for playing Judy Garland, which she was not the best performance that year. That's one of those ones where I really was just like, you just wanted to give her another Academy Award because you know you're never going to give her another one. It's just like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of giving her that? She won that in the year where you had Scarlett Johansson giving a great performance in Marriage Story, and Cynthia Erivo got nominated for playing Harriet Tubman. those performances I think stood out better. Scarlett Johansson's never won an Academy Award before, but no, let's give Renee Zellweger another one for just passively playing Judy Garland. It's just like, yeah, it's just like those type of things really annoy me, and that's one of the big things that I really don't like about the Academy Awards because they sometimes just give awards out to people just because that we should have given you to you years ago, but here's a here's one for your half-ass performance, but I'm glad this year that they didn't do that. Like that's that's what I said before is the best thing about this year's Oscars. Almost every single win felt genuine. It didn't feel like somebody was just forcing a win because we want to give another person an Oscar, or we've neglectedly not given this person a specific Oscar. We're going to give it to you here. But no, every performance that won deserved to win. The movies that won Best Picture, Best Animated Feature, Best Original Screenplay, they deserve to win. The only one I would say that I was not the biggest fan of was Women Talking winning for Best Adapted Screenplay, where you have Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery in that category, as well as Top Gun Maverick. Me personally, I would have loved to see either one of those guys win, but not to say anything bad about Women Talking. It's just I felt like they kind of gave that away just to have somebody come on. It's like I don't know, like I don't even want to say it because I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really say too much about it. But who knows? Maybe I'm completely wrong on it. I'm more than open to checking it out, but I don't know. Just from what I had seen, Glass Onion and Top Gun Maverick, I thought would have been better choices. But again, I don't know too much about the Women Talking because I haven't seen it. I will say I am disappointed that Banshees of Inisherin and The Fabelmans kind of got completely snubbed completely. Like I'm starting to think that Steven Spielberg's never going to win a third Academy Award, which I think he deserves. Like I think if you're going to give 3 Oscars to people like Meryl Streep and Daniel Day-Lewis, and you're not going to give Steven Spielberg a third Oscar, I think he definitely deserves to be in the 3-time Oscar club. But Fabelmans got completely shut out. So did the Banshees of Inisherin. So did Tar. Yeah, there were some ones there, and the ones that there were also some categories that I really didn't know too much about, and I did terrible on those ones. Like, I think Best Documentary Feature, I had All That Breeze, but a Navalny run. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Navaline, Navalny. I think I'm mispronouncing that wrong, but I didn't get that one. I didn't get documentary short subject either. I had Howl Out, but The Elephant Whisperers won. Live action short film, I picked The Red Suitcase and An Irish Goodbye one. I did pick Best Animated Short Film, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, and I thought that one was the best winner of the best one out of the ones that I saw from the animated shorts category. I thought that was one where they actually deserved that win. Is there anything else here that I want to bring up? I'm trying to think. So I don't think there is. I think it's pretty interesting that of all the nominees that were winners, you had 11 nominations for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Then you had 9 for All Quiet on the Western Front and The Banshees of Inisherin, 8 for Elvis, 7 for The Fabelmans, 6 for Tar, Top Gun Maverick, 5 for Black Panther, 4 for Avatar. Only 3 movies had multiple wins tonight. Yeah, there were only 3 winners that had multiple wins. Everything Everywhere All at Once, of course, had the most with 7. All Quiet on the Western Front had 4, and The Whale had the two nominations it had. 3 nominations, I should say. 2. They won 2 of the Academy. They won 2 of the nominees that they were nominated for. Toy Boat. I thought that was pretty interesting that only those 3 had the most awards won. But yeah, like I said before, man, to sum it all up again, to wrap this up, I thought this was a pretty damn good Academy Awards. I know there's going to be people that will disagree with me, but I thought that this was the best one they've done in a number of years. Like, this was the one where a lot of the winners were well-deserved. Jimmy Kimmel did a very good job holding the fort down. It was a safe show. Nothing too crazy happened, which is a good thing, considering the way they botched it up last year with the producers that they have and how they were so desperate for a controversy or something to really get people to talk about them. And then when it finally happened, they were just like, we don't know what to do. Will Smith, you're banned for 10 years, which I don't think that was something that they should have done, in my opinion. You should have at least banned him from this year's Oscars or a couple of Oscars or just something like that. But I think they went a little too over the top on that one. Like, I kept hearing rumors that they were going to try to take Will Smith's Oscar away that he won rightfully. but those rumors never really came to be, which is a good thing, of course, because your Oscar shouldn't be taken away from you from something stupid like that. Like, I'm of the belief that both Chris Rock and Will Smith were in the wrong on that front. Will Smith obviously should not have gotten up and slapped his wife, but you know what? Chris Rock shouldn't have told a really bad joke, because that wasn't even a funny joke. Like, when he talked about, like, why are you bringing up G.I. Jane for no reason whatsoever? For, like, G.I. Jane has not been a relevant movie in 25 years, so what sense does that make to bring it up here? Like, that's just my take on that front. I know that's a hotly debated issue, especially around Hollywood, and like I said, I thought they did a very good job making those slap jokes work in this case. Like, they did a very good job with the humor in this. And it just, like I said, I thought they did a very good job with the show overall. I thought it was a very well done show, very well done on so many levels. And that's just my personal take on it. Let me know your thoughts down below. I want to know your thoughts on this Oscars, and what you think of this concept that I have here. Like, do you think I should do more of these? Do you think could be something that will work later on when I plan to do this for permanently in the fall? Let me know your thoughts down below, and I hope you enjoyed this. So, thank you very much for listening in, and I'll see you guys next time. So until the next time I see you or hear you, take care.